Hello and welcome to tonight's Monday Night Live. Thank you for joining the call and welcome. Tonight we're going to be exploring some of the insights and new possibilities that are coming out of this whole shared experience. And for those of you that are joining live on the call, I would invite you first of all to say hello in the chat box and to get your fingers warmed up because we're going to be doing a lot of chatting tonight and interaction about this subject. So this subject came about, first of all, thank you for joining the call, those that are joining the call live. And if you're watching the recording afterwards, it's beautiful to have you as part of the energy also. And if we haven't met before, my name is Juliette Martine. I've been working as an energy healer and spiritual teacher for the past 18 years, and I'm loving everyone coming together with these Monday Night Lives. My intent here is really to create like-hearted community. We talk about like-minded community. It's very mental in terms of our thoughts and our beliefs, but if we can be like-hearted community, then we can bypass all of those thought patterns and beliefs and really connect at that level of the soul and the essence of our being. So that's a little bit about me. Welcome, Margaret and Kath. Hi, lovely to have you on the call. And for those of you that are watching live, I don't get to see who's on the call unless you say hi in the chat box. So if you can just type a little something, then I get to say hello to you. And I do really appreciate you being part of these calls. So the subject for tonight, having a look at insights and new possibilities coming out of this whole global situation and experience. Hi Robin, lovely to have you join the call. Has actually come about over the last, many weeks. So we've been talking on these Facebook Lives about let's not rush through this experience too quickly because it's offering us some opportunities that are kind of revealing themselves along the way. And if we just pop into this experience of isolation and then pop out the other side and we pick up everything where we left off, then nothing will change. But this whole global situation is presenting many opportunities for change. And so that's what we're exploring tonight. How can we make the most of them? Hi, Lou. Lovely to have you join the call. So over the last few weeks or several weeks, we've been talking about that, what some of the changes, and let's not rush through this whole experience. And during last week, the week just gone, I did a conference call with I think there was probably about 50 or 60 people on the call. And one of the main consistent things that came up was that a lot of people were really loving the changes that were happening for them at the moment, spending more time at home, having more quality family time, less rushing, feeling like they'd stepped off the treadmill. For some people, it's a busier treadmill with homeschooling, or certainly those that are on the front line are having a busier experience. But for a large portion of the population in Australia, at least, life has really slowed down. And a lot of the people on the conference call, and I'm hearing this consistently from clients as well, we're feeling a bit concerned about, what happens when this experience is over and life picks up its pace again and, we get back onto that treadmill. And there was almost a sense of anxiety, like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to keep up with it? I don't really want to lose some of the good things that have come about through this slowing down. Hi, Meg. Lovely to see you on the call. Mary Lou has said less pollution, more wildlife. Yeah, so that's just a couple of the benefits that have come about. So the last thing we want to do is create anxiety, and probably the last thing we want to do is pick up exactly where we left off, because there's a lot of opportunity here to create change. Some change will be forced upon us just through the circumstances that we find ourselves in, but there are other changes that we can choose to create for ourselves, for our families, for our community, where we get to be an active co-creator in what we create the other side of this experience. So that's what I want to explore tonight, is some of the things that you've been experiencing during this lockdown, the changes, and how you've been finding that in terms of, in the positive sense, what have been some of the positive things that have come about. So I invite you, if you're on the call live, to warm up your typing fingers so that we can have a conversation without necessarily using speakers, but through the chat box. Because this is a really good time as governments are talking about opening up things again, and as some of the previous aspects of our life may start to pick up pace again. What is it that we perhaps might want to explore a little bit more fully to really honor some of the learning that's come through to do things differently the other side? And the way I was kind of describing it was, life, and this came through on the conference call as well. Someone said, the last 10 years it's felt like life has been so busy, so fast, not enough time, being pulled in all directions, feeling like you're not doing a good enough job at anything because there's just so much going on, and life has been incredibly busy. It's like going on the freeway at 100, k's an hour full time. And then the question came up, well, when things do start to speed up and the traffic either side of you is starting to pick up its pace again, and we're stepping out of isolation and there's more activity going on, do we need to step into the fast lane, or do we have the power to choose for ourselves to perhaps be a bit more of a Sunday driver 7 days a week? Does it automatically apply that we have to do things the way they were done before, or is this actually an opportunity for change, for us individually to make that choice, and for us perhaps as a community to make different choices, as a society and a nation to make different choices? So these are some of the things I would invite us all to kind of dive into tonight and to explore. So I've got a couple of questions here. And like I said, warm up your typing fingers. And if you are watching the replay of this call afterwards, by all means in chat box, or send me an email, or add to your comments to wherever you're watching this video from, because this is an opportunity for all of us to explore this. So the first question I would put to all of us is, what are some of the changes you have observed across society that are for the better, where you've noticed things in your local society or across the global society through media? You've noticed changes that you feel are actually really positive changes that have come about through this global experience. Hi Maz, thanks for joining the call. So just in the chat box, what are some of the positive things that you have noticed across society or within your local community that you feel are real positives that have come out of this experience? So Mary Lou said before, less pollution and more wildlife. What about everyone else? What are some of the positive changes that you have noticed that have come about that perhaps weren't there before, or they're a bit more prolific now with things being quieter? Maz has said, locally I'm noticing people being kinder, taking time to chat. I'm also shopping less and shopping locally. Yeah. Being kinder, taking time to chat, shopping less, so that's doing less, and also keeping things local. Robin has said, I've noticed more birds around my home. People were driving slower and more patient with others around them at the shops and experiences like that. Yeah. Mary Lou has said people being more aware of others. Rose has said people being more friendly and caring. Kath, more people walking with family or a friend. Yeah, I've noticed that as well. Rather than individuals just walking and making a beeline for where they're headed. Margaret has said everyone smiles when we're out. It's lovely, relaxed life. Working from home without makeup and without the commute and without being watched all day. Yeah. Meg has said families walking the local street with children. Yeah. Robin, I was never able to work from home, but now have the opportunity, which gives me a few more hours in my day. And yes, spending less as well. Maz has said the dog is definitely getting more exercise. My dog would agree with your dog, Maz. Yeah, so, there's some consistent themes there around kindness and connection and doing perhaps a bit less in terms of commuting and shopping and going places, having a bit more expanded time to be present, to smile, to actually talk and to chat with people, and to spend quality time with family members and going for walks. Robin has said the local bin chickens and crows are hungry because the McDonald's food is not lying in the streets, so they're pulling out all the rubbish from our bins instead. Maybe they're getting better quality food out of the bins rather than some of the takeaway in the streets. So those are some really nice aspects, which really kind of come down to heart. If I was to try and look for a consistent theme there, see what you feel about this. Maybe it comes down to heart and care, presence, kindness, all of those sorts of things that rather than, as I said at the beginning, my aim is to create like-hearted community rather than like-minded community. So it's almost like this slowdown has caused us to get out of the fast pace here on that mental level and to drop into a slower pace at the heart and the soul, so more connection happening there. Meg said conversations with neighbours over the fence, strengthening and growing these relationships, and sharing food from our gardens. Oh, I'm so passionate about that myself. Hi James, lovely to have you on the call. Yeah, so, sharing, it's something I was writing a lot about today, and it came through in my meditation around sharing. And, sharing is really the giving of ourself. And at the deepest level, I feel like that is ultimately what our life purpose is. The reason we're here is to give, to share who we are and to share the gifts and abilities that we have, that we've brought in to benefit not just ourselves but the greater whole. And so this slowing down is kind of connecting us with that. And part of what we have to share is a smile, is a hello, is a slow walk, is being present, is getting to know each other better, is that kindness and care and connection on the heart level. That's sharing our soul. So that which we kind of take most for granted and like shove in the back seat as we're zooming along the freeway of life is now getting some exposure time, and we're feeling it. It's a feeling thing. It's not a thinking thing. We're not mentally thinking these things. We're actually feeling the difference that it makes. So it's adding to the quality of our life and the lives of the people around us. So that's beautiful sharing. So the next question I'd put to you is, what for you has personally changed the most in the positive sense? So it might be something you've already mentioned, or it might be something different. But if you just close your eyes, tune in with your heart and just get a sense of, okay, for me personally, maybe what's the one thing that has really changed in a positive way for me during this quiet time? And just add it in the chat box. And if you haven't said hi yet, if you're on the call live, please say hi in the chat box. Don't be shy. We're all here in this experience together and sharing together and learning and supporting and assisting each other as we do. So for you personally, what's maybe one thing that you've really gained out of this experience that has been a positive? Margaret has said enjoying so much more time at home. Yeah, I would say that's actually for me personally, not that I had an exceptionally busy life, but I'd say more time at home because we're being asked to stay at home. That's pretty obvious, but actually enjoying the spaciousness of time, being at home. Hi Kimberly, lovely to have you on the call. What about everyone else? What's the one thing, if you tune in and close your eyes? There might be several negative things that you feel life is tougher and more difficult, but is there one thing that you have found is maybe a little bit of a blessing for you, or a positive, or something that you're actually enjoying yourself out of this change in time? So Kath is getting more sleep. Beautiful. Maybe a different quality of sleep as well. Maz, you've got your son home for 3 weeks after 2 years of living away. Oh, that must be a beautiful treat. Tony, moving towards stillness. Hi, Tony. Moving towards stillness and dropping the fear of missing out. But it's still hard. So many online festivals. Yeah. I think fear of missing out is was a massive pressure on us before this time. There was so much going on around us. Like I say, freeway, not just a lane either side of us going at 100 k's an hour, but 5 or 10 or 100 or infinite global lanes racing past us. And just that speed of energy going past us, of events and things to keep up with, and news and situations and changes, and so much going on, that fear of missing out creates this anxiety because we can't possibly keep up with it. And yet it's being put forward through social media and things that add that edge of glamour and excitement and anticipation to it, that because all of those lanes of traffic have come to a screeching halt as well, there's just not that fear of missing out. There's nothing much going on to be missing out on. And so that dropping away of that fast-paced energy and the anxiety that comes with it can be a real relief for people. Rosa said, I feel more comfortable just being and spending time alone. Just being. I just want to press pause there and feel the energy of that, because that's really the bigger opportunity we've all been given. So thank you, Rose. Kimberly, slowing down, enjoying a calmer way of life. Serenity is bliss. Yes. And it's hard to have that serenity and that calmness when everything is going past us at a rapid rate and we do feel like we're missing out, or we should be keeping up, or we're going to fall behind if we don't, or something is going on that we might be missing out on. So having that serenity, that calmness, that slowing down, that extended state of being is really beautiful. Mazza said, more connection with myself has been a benefit, and listening deeply to what I want to do. Great segue, Maz. That's what we're going to be getting into. Sally, hi Sally. More phone and SMS connections with my daughter. Yeah. So that connectivity we were talking about. For Meg, she agrees with Rose, enjoying just being and enjoying the simple things in life like my garden and fresh, easy food. As soon as I was reading your message there, Meg, enjoying the simple things in life, I immediately thought of a garden. The richness of a garden of life, that rather than it being some arduous task that we need to look after the garden, we're actually getting more time to be in the garden, to actually enjoy it and to smell the roses and sit with the roses and be with the roses and feel the roses, or whatever your garden offers you. Lou said, my blinkers are off. I feel more expanded and able to take everything in. Wow. Therefore, I'm interacting more, noticing the nicer things in my neighborhood, the gardens, the people, the murals, the artwork, creativity, and feels more like home, community than a temporary place to live. Wow, that's so profound. How much of the time do we just kind of race through life and just come home to our place, buzz in, buzz out, and not really feel that deep connected sense of community until perhaps, we really slow down and in retirement. I remember in my early days when I was with Kimberly Clark, and we were doing some research with retirees, and their lives were so full. They said they didn't know how they ever had time to work. Life became filled up with the things they really enjoyed, and having more time to be in the garden and to connect with people and to be more present and to enjoy a slower pace of life, which actually provided even more richness because they were able to be more present to it. So thank you for all of that sharing. It then brings me to just an invitation to reflect on, the thing that you are now experiencing that you weren't necessarily experiencing to the same extent before. What does that reflect to you about value, your values? What is it that you're valuing now that perhaps you didn't value before? What is it that you're getting value out of now that you weren't able to get value out of before? And what does it kind of show you about how life was before this period and compared to how life is now? So we've identified that there's obviously a slowing, and life is more present and more beingness and more connection and heart-centeredness now. But what does that reflect about the way life was before? Apart from the obvious of life being more busy or faster, what does it really reflect about what did I value before and what am I valuing now? Because life is always a reflection of our values. We prioritize according to the values we hold. And this is an opportunity for us to re-evaluate what's important to us, what's significant, what holds value to us, and to kind of, as Lou has said, take the blinkers off and to see life through fresher, clearer eyes, to go, well, what was I valuing before and what kind of life did that create? And what am I perhaps seeing through a clearer lens that I'm valuing now and the kind of life that it creates now, that then I might want to make different choices going forward. So anyone like to add in the chat box, what is this reflecting to you about what you're valuing now and perhaps what you valued before? And any reflections or contemplations in there in terms of what that's showing you? What is that awareness offering you? Because the first thing that is needed for us to really make changes that last is to have that awareness and to then make choices and decisions around that awareness. So anyone like to add comment? There might be a little bit of a lag in the typing. For me, I'll just fill in while you're typing. For me, I have really noticed this time has decreased the sense of pressure I was placing on myself. There's nowhere to be, nothing I particularly have to do. There's no external pressures on me because the world has slowed down and kind of stopped. In fact, the world has said, we don't particularly care about you. You just stay in your house, do your little thing in your house, and that's absolutely perfect. So for me, in that slowing down and not having that pressure, it's actually shown me how much pressure I was either putting on myself before or allowing to build up that takes away from my ability to be present. And now I'm really valuing that spaciousness of presence far more than my awareness enabled me to actually experience before. So Maz has said, valuing more is deeper relationships with fewer. So I'm assuming fewer but deeper relationships there, if I'm reading your words right. Kath has said, it's okay to look after myself. I don't have to be everything to everyone. So that's a change you've noticed, Kath. Yeah, it's okay to look after myself. I don't have to be everything to everyone. Kimberly was agreeing with what I've expressed. Robin has said, I need to find a way to add more nature in my life, to get a garden, to be closer to nature, to be in a community where I can flourish. Yeah, so this time has given you, Robin, the opportunity to actually experience that connection with nature, that's something that you really value and need. Thanks, Maz, for confirming. Rose has said, before I think I valued being busy and always engaged, and I thought this made my life interesting and full. But now I value peace and quiet and being able to think clearly and feel my feelings without being distracted. Yeah. I think for a lot of us, Rose, what you've expressed is true in terms of we tend to measure our value quantitatively rather than qualitatively. We're in a society that is all about quantity. It's about numbers. It's about what we can measure in terms of results and outcomes and success and likes and popularity and status and all the things that are quantifiable in life. And so we tend to measure our life through those quantifiable things that are the things that keep us busy. How can you measure, I spent half an hour sitting with the flowers in my garden, just feeling the energy there? Where in our society does that as a measure come in, that we have a strong sense of value and purpose in that, in sharing that? Whereas we have in the past, I think, very much oriented ourselves towards those things that are measurable, and then measuring ourselves as being valuable and our life as being a success by the busyness of all of those things. Whereas now we're measuring it in a more qualitative way rather than quantitative way. Mary Lou has said, I now enjoy connecting with myself, with others, with wildlife and gardens around the place. This is what makes me feel bigger. So experiencing the difference in that value. And perhaps those things didn't get any time or attention before. Meg has said being given time to think and reflect is something that she's valuing differently now. Yeah. Margaret has said staying home on my own is easier because there's less of that fear of missing out. And the need to keep busy has been freeing. Yeah, so not having, the need, that pressure, that expectation, that I should be busy, that's a measure of me achieving or being successful or using life well, or all of, again, those quantitative things that we focus on. Kimberly has said, knowing that my time is my own. How beautiful is that? My time is my own. Let's just put a stamp right there with that. My time is my own. I love that. To enjoy, to garden, yoga, walking dogs, cooking, with no external demands or work-life pressure. My old saying, stop the world, I need to get off, it's finally happened and it's fabulous. Yay! Let's celebrate that with everyone. Stop the world, it's time to get off. That's really what happened. Someone, pulled the stop lever on the treadmill of life, or the mouse wheel, and we all came to this screaming halt, and we all stepped off the mouse wheel, stepped off the rat race, took a deep breath, took us a little while to adjust, and now we're going, the air seems a bit fresher, the flowers seem a bit brighter, my neighbors seem a little bit more interesting, people seem to be a little bit nicer. I seem to be feeling a little bit more connected. Isn't this nice? What was I doing on that mouse wheel in the first place? How did I get on? Megan said, I realized I was keeping busy with things that aren't things I value highly. And that's the whole purpose of this call tonight and this conversation, is to look at what is it that we value? What do we extract value from? What is important to us? And where do we get our own sense of value from? Is it from all this external busyness and keeping up with all those lanes of traffic on the freeway of life? Or perhaps is it time for us to value ourselves differently, to value the gifts and opportunities of life differently, that we want to pursue a slightly different road going forward? Maybe not to step back onto the freeway of life, but to actually take a little bit of a more meandering road, to choose things differently. Maz, yay! Okay, that's beautiful. So, that really begs the question, what would you like to take forward? Because one of the other conversations I had with a client last week was someone who's in an executive role, and I was just kind of exploring with that person, when things do start to perhaps speed up, people go back to offices and things, all of these beautiful changes that we've been talking about, how would you like to do things differently going forward? And the automatic response was, oh, well, life will just go back to the way it was. Things will speed up again, people will get back to their offices, and, we'll just slop back in. And I really challenged this person to say, well, does it have to be that way? Because the assumption underneath it was, this is the way it has to be. It's the way it has been. And I don't really have a say. I'm powerless. This is just the way society is. It's the way businesses operate. It's the expectations of society. And so, when things ramp up, I'll ramp up with it. And I was really challenging to say, well, does it have to be that way? Is this big pause showing us the value of things differently, that we might value money differently? We might be operating on less money at the moment and actually finding that as we're doing less and spending less, we're actually breathing more and having a more expansive, richer experience with less material stuff, that actually the way we go about work, we might want to change it going forward. So that's just one little example. So I would invite you to contemplate, and maybe just again add a comment in the chat box. What would you like to take forward with you from this experience as things do start to open up again? Having had a taste of the value of some of the things that have changed during this time, that you have found value in, are there any of those things that you would like to take forward into the future, that you say, this is important, this is significant, this is a change that I would like to have continue, or to go into more, or to expand, or this has shown me an aspect of my life that I would like to be different? So maybe just share in your chat box. In the chat box, is there anything that you would like to take forward with you out of this experience into the future? For me, I will say, like I said before, I want to take forward with me not pressuring myself. Definitely. Wholeheartedly, I can say that. So what about you guys? What would you, if anything, would you like to take forward out of this experience? I'll just wait for the chat box to catch up. Or another way of looking at it is, if you were to close your eyes and feel into your heart space, what kind of vision would you like to create for yourself, for life, or for society as a whole, the world we live in, to be differently going forward? So it might not be just for yourself. It might be like, I would really like it if the world changed in this way going forward. So Maz has said, definitely shopping locally. Yes, I'm a big advocate of that. I think to share the benefits locally, to have a sense of community. I love being able to chat with my local shop owners and to get to know people and where the produce has come from, and to know that I'm supporting families rather than necessarily big corporations, to know that I'm supporting local farmers and I'm minimizing carbon footprint and adding less traffic to the road by being able to walk to my local shops. Those things are really important to me. So I'm with you on that one, Maz. Tony has said, a less sympathetic nervous system and more relaxed. Less active sympathetic nervous system, I would assume there. So Tony, you want to take with you a more relaxed state of being. Rose has said, stronger boundaries on my time and only spending time doing things that align with my values. Beautiful. Learning that no is a complete sentence. Isn't that awesome? Learning that no is a complete sentence. Yeah, not having to explain, not having to justify, not having to prove or convince anyone. It's just simply, no. Thank you. No. Beautiful. So boundaries for Rose. Lou has said, I will notice the others that don't speed up and be mindful to stay connected with them. Yeah, so that really is finding that like-hearted community. People that value that presence and that slower pace. Kimberly would like to maintain an inner calmness, a slower pace of life. Breathe slow, think slow, go slow. Yes, there's a whole slow movement that has been around for, I think, probably the last decade in response to the rapid pace of life. So you might like to tune into some of the tools and strategies there, Kimberly, as well. And Margaret, cooking interesting meals from recipes and enjoying more variety. So that's something that Margaret would like to take with. Beautiful. So when you identify, what's the vision you'd like to have going forward for your life, or what's just that one simple thing that you'd like to take forward, or that you're valuing differently, that you can see as important and you'd like to incorporate in your future life, then another way of looking at it is, what was the mindset that I had before that was creating the way I was living life before, and the values that mindset was kind of hooked into. And what's the change in mindset or attitude or thought pattern or feelings or beliefs that I need to take with me going forward that will support this new way of being. So for example, if our previous life was driven by that fear of missing out, what is the story we can tell ourselves going forward that will change that behavior and enable us to breathe more deeply and take things more slowly going forward? So it might be simply that we need to assure ourselves that where I am is exactly where I need to be. There can be a whole lot of other stuff going on, but actually where I am right now is exactly where I need to be. And just knowing that in the core of our being. So for you, if you've identified something that you'd like to take forward with you, and you notice that that's different to the way you were living life before, what is the thought pattern, the mindset, the energy that you perhaps can change now to shift your energy that then supports this new way of being going forward, so that as traffic starts to speed up around us, you have anchored this way of being as the way you're going to maintain things going forward. As Kath has said, catching up for walks and activities, not just sitting, eating and drinking. Yeah, so taking that forward. So just identify one change in thought pattern or feeling or belief or story that was running your life before that you'd like to shift the energy on now going forward. And then we're just going to do a very short meditation, short guided process to really anchor that energy so that you do take control of your life. You do realize you have choices. We all have choices. We can do things differently going forward. And there has been so much disruption to the normal patterns of life that everything will kind of be a bit upside down for a while, a bit up for negotiation, a bit up for change, that, it won't be as big we won't have as much to push through of resistance as we had going into this experience. So creating change going forward may in fact be easier than it was before this all happened. So just identifying that one thing that you need to change. If you want to add it in the chat box, that would be great, so I can just know what we're all working with, different energies, and what you share will undoubtedly be helpful to someone else who's on the call or listening. So Rosa said scheduling quiet time into your life. Yep. So actually making that a priority and scheduling it. Beautiful. Okay, so hopefully you've got a little bit of insight into how life was before, how it's different now, what you'd like to take forward with you, and perhaps what was running mentally that was keeping things the way it was that you need to shift the energy on going forward now. So Meg has said, I lived in response to pressure and expectations from others. Now I want to live from me and what I see as being important. So that's a really great example right there. Now I'm choosing, if you were to create an affirmation out of that or an energy to anchor, I'm choosing to live from me and what I see as important. Mary Lou has said, not to disconnect from my environment in defense of the business or busyness, I'm not sure, that rattles me because I miss out on the good stuff. Okay. So what we're going to do now is just a very short visualization to help anchor this energy that we want to take going forward with us. So I would invite you to simply close your eyes and take a couple of slow, deep breaths. to really step off any treadmill, any mouse wheel, any freeway, to be here fully in the present. Feel your feet connecting in with the earth beneath you. Feel your breath in your belly. Calling in the light of your higher self in through the crown of your head, down through the central channel of your body, anchoring it down into the earth. And just being in connection with yourself, bring your awareness into your heart space. And as you're being in your heart space, just hold that vision of yourself in your heart space of how you would like life to be going forward. For yourself, for your family, for your community, for your society, for the world as a whole. What's that greater vision that you can hold in your heart that brings you more of the energy, more of the qualities, more of the values that are more important to you now, that you're more aware of the value of now? And just hold that vision in your heart of you being in that energy going forward in life. Hold that vision of yourself being more present, more relaxed, more connected with yourself and the world around you. More connected with your values, what's important to you, what really matters. Whatever it is for you, whatever that looks like. And in your heart space, really connect with what that feels like. What's the feeling, the underlying feeling that comes with that energy for you? Whatever it is, whatever that energy feels like for you, just allow that energy to slowly expand within your heart space and to just very gently fill your heart space with this beautiful energy, whatever it is for you. Feeling calmer, more relaxed, more present, more loving, more creative, more open, more anchored, grounded, whatever it is. With each breath, just imagine that feeling expanding more and more within you, filling beyond your heart space, filling the whole of your body, gently growing and expanding until it's expanded beyond your physical body to fill your energy field, that you are in a bubble of that energy, whatever it is for you. To feel the whole of your energy field filled with this beautiful energy that feels right for you, that you want to take forward with you. And allow yourself to just bathe in that energy. To just let go into it. Until you are full to overflowing with this beautiful energy that is what feels right for you. give yourself permission to feel how glorious it feels, or enjoyable on whatever level it feels, on all levels that it feels. And then imagine just radiating that energy out into the world as a gentle ripple of loving energy, healing energy, as we all join together, forming a circle that encompasses the whole of the world, just gently rippling out this beautiful, positive energy that each of us is experiencing, sharing it across the world for all who might be in need of some of that energy at the moment, some of that calmness, some of that presence, some of that love, some of that joy, some of that strength. Just offering it as a gift to any who would like to receive the energy. That together we're creating a beautiful ripple of supportive, nourishing, uplifting energy. And then just take a couple of slow, deep breaths, bringing your awareness back into your body, back into the here and the now. Taking this energy with you as you give your fingers and toes a bit of a wriggle, have a bit of a stretch. And just gently open your eyes whenever you feel ready. Just carrying that state with you as you come back to being in the here and the now. So welcome back. I hope you're back in your body in the here and the now. Haven't lost anyone in the ethers. How was that for you? Of course, this is an exercise we can do for ourselves anytime as we become aware of an energy that we would like to take forward into life, or a change that we would like to create going forward. We can always anchor that energy in and feel it and radiate it and become it, embody it. So how is that for you, for those that are live on the call? And if you're listening to the recording afterwards, how was that visualization for you? So Maz added before we went into the visualization that for her the priority is really living deeply connected to her values, that that's something that she'd like to take forward. So thank you, Maz. So is everyone back? How was that experience? Maybe just add a word in the chat box before we finish up. For me, I feel a beautiful sense of calm and connection. Actually, a little bit more of an aware connection in having joined energy at the end of that visualization. What about for you? Kath, feeling heartwarming? Thank you, you're welcome. Maz, my body is humming after that process. Beautiful. What kind of a hum is it, Maz? Is it a 100 kilometers an hour hum, or is it how would you describe the hum? You said humming, I thought of a hummer, or a hummingbird, or a gentle calming hum. So I'm sure it is whatever the hum that feels right for you. Anyone else like to share? Mary Lou, beautiful, feeling warm and fuzzy. nice to share it. It is always nice to share the energy and to give back. Peaceful, expansive for Rose. Beautiful. So I hope you found that process helpful, and I hope you found the discussion tonight, even though it's me doing the talking, you doing the typing. I hope you found that helpful, because this really is an opportunity for us to reflect on how we were living life before, and what have we learned from this experience about ourselves, and how we'd like to be living life differently going forward, and that we do have the power of choice to make different choices for ourselves going forward. And if enough of us say, I'm going to bugger the world, I'm going to drive like a Sunday driver 7 days a week as traffic goes fast, then if enough of us do that, the traffic will start to slow down. Or we'll find like-hearted people that drive at a slower pace. Of course, I'm not meant physically driving. I'm talking about as a metaphor in the way our energy is and the pace of life. We'll find our like-hearted community that actually don't need to be busy, don't need to prove themselves by how busy they're keeping their life. That when we catch up with those people, it'll be a conversation about, I spent half an hour in the garden smelling the roses and staring at the sky and the clouds and listening to the sounds of the birds, and it was absolutely beautiful. And here's a pot of my homemade jam that I made, where I bought a case of kumquats at the local markets, and I'd love to share that with you. So we will find our like-hearted community that are in alignment with the values that we are re-evaluating and realigning with at the moment. Maz, full body, gentle vibration. How beautiful. So on that note, I hope you found it beneficial tonight. I really thank you to those who've joined live on the call. It's so lovely to come together on these Monday night calls. And again, if there's any topics you'd like me to cover, or anything that yourself or family or friends or you're noticing in the community might be benefited from us exploring, or just having a conversation about, then please message me, let me know. Other than that, that's it from me. Any other comments? I'll reply in the chat box if they haven't come through yet. So thank you once again. Look forward to seeing you next week. But in the meantime, have a really beautiful, calming or gentle or whatever the energy is that you want to carry forward week. So thank you, Maya, and from Mish. Thank you so much for being on the call. Thanks, Margaret, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.